give you the details on what they're considering, but I'm just going to say it like it is. They are open to gaming the system for the new college football playoff structure. They looked at the way this 12-team playoff was ran. They looked at how it broke down and said, I think we can game the system, especially if one of the rumored changes happens. One of the main changes that is expected for the CFP next year, no automatic buys for conference champions. Right? If that happens, so the Boise State, Arizona State buys don't happen, they just go to whoever the top 4 teams are in the rankings, and automatically qualifying is all that conference champions get. The ACC is ready to pounce. They're ready to jump all over that and say, this isn't in the best spirit of competition, but it's in the best spirit of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Jim Phillips, in speaking with the media, said over the weekend, the ACC could consider giving its regular season champion a bye and not putting them in the conference championship, and have the teams that finish second or third in league standings play in the ACC championship game. It is gaming the system 100%. Right? Because if teams aren't hurt for not playing in a conference championship game, which we learned this year they're not, right? Teams that didn't make a conference championship or teams like Notre Dame that don't have a conference championship were not hurt by not playing in a conference championship game. Then taking someone that is already in the top, say, 8 and removing them from your conference championship game guarantees they make it into the CFP. And if you have 2 teams that are maybe outside the top 11, one of them will get the conference championship game automatic bid into the ACC. I think they should take it one step further. Anyone in the top 8 gets a bye. Anyone in the CFP rankings, top 8 before the conference championship, gets a bye, and they can start booking travel. And the 2 teams that are furthest out or next out, right, say they're ranked 14th and 18th, they get to play for an automatic bid. ACC maximizes their entries. Is it in what's best interest for the sport? No. Is anyone else operating as if it's in the best interest for the sport? No. Everyone's out for their conference. Go ahead and do what you have to do. He also said another possibility is having the top 4 teams play on the final weekend of the regular season. First place versus 4th, second versus 3rd, and the winners play the following weekend for the ACC championship game, which would obviously give teams a chance for more marquee wins later in the season. Creative, I don't know if I love it, but I like the spirit behind it. Now, before I guarantee you I'm going to hear this blowback. What about the conference championship game meaning something? Listen, I love the tradition of college sports. Love it. I love the tradition of college football. Love it. I love it all. The rivalries. I was very upset when the Pac-12 broke down. I was very upset when like Washington and Washington State split up. I don't like that Texas and Oklahoma aren't in the Big 12. Like I'm for it. I want the tradition. The first conference championship game ever was played in 1992. The first ACC championship game ever, the first Atlantic Coast Conference championship game in the history of the world, came out a year after Shrek 2 in 2005.
It's a good time.
Not even the first Shrek, where you're like, okay, some of that animation does look. The second Shrek. The not even Ocean's 12 came out in 2004. Ocean's 13 came out sometime after. The ACC championship game debut was 2005. This ain't one of the traditions where it's like, my grandpappy used to love watching the ACC championship. He didn't. I was in high school when the ACC championship game debuted. At least in 8th grade, depending on what time, That's not something that we have to worry about. There's a lot more we have to protect in college sports than the conference championship game. If you can manipulate your conference championship game to make the ACC set up in a better spot, do it. Do it. Protect the ACC over the ACC championship game, I'll put it that way. You fall too behind in football, you're going to find yourself like the Big East. And, yeah, they win national championships in basketball. Shout out to Villanova and UConn. But the money ain't there because football ain't there. Football at 4, presented by Wake Med today. Shout out to Wake Med, and shout out to Jim Phillips for being ahead and creative on something. We'll see if they go ahead and execute it for the ACC.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Do you think the TV networks are going to go, wait a second, we signed up for the 2 best in the conference, not second and third? Because who's going to tune, because that's the thing, there's the money aspect of it as well that we have to take into consideration when it comes to all this.
Perhaps, except for the fact that Miami was better than SMU this year. You know what I mean?
Yes, but
the in-conference play record, and I guess they could put their foot down on it, but I wouldn't even be surprised if they won a game that means more. Right? If you have 2 teams, for example, if they take away the first round bye, this past year the Big Ten championship meant nothing. I wonder if TV contracts wouldn't love to be all right, instead of a game where you might rest your starters, why? Because it's already set week 18 in the NFL. Give me 2 teams that are playing to advance their season and see what happens. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not involved in those contract negotiations, and the ACC doesn't want to do anything that gives ESPN or Disney the right to look at that grant of rights at all. But there's something there. There's something there, and also it would 100% raise the value of the ACC. I'm sure the next year on all the ACC games, they'd like to have teams that were in the CFP more than teams that were not. Right? Just raise the eyeballs.